Hey everyone, welcome back to FogCutter Live. I'm here with Preston James, founder of Traders Edge Network. I'm Mike Curtis. We're going to take you through another upcoming week in the financial markets, hopefully help you cut through a little bit of the noise and the fog out there. Preston, like always, there's just a ton to talk about. So say hello, we'll get rolling.
Yeah, probably a busier earnings week of them all, even though the big names that basically own the universe have announced. But before that world existed, the stocks that are announcing this week used to be important, and they still are, but just not in
Absolutely.
comparison to the Mag 7. I've got the treasure hunting sign in view on purpose, I guess.
There you go. Yeah, huge week. So to your point, last week we cleared out a lot of the Mag 7 stocks, right? Apple reported, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Google. So really the last of the Magnificent Seven is NVIDIA. That's about 2 weeks out, I believe.
Mhm.
I think they're the 19th of November. I'm just going off of memory. So they're the last. They're always a little bit later than the bulk of those Mag 7 stocks. So, yeah, Preston, is we're still thick in these earnings season or in the earnings season. What are you thinking? Where are your eyes at? Of course, we've talked about it several times in these podcasts. You want to know your earnings dates,
Yeah.
have it written down, make sure that doesn't sneak up on you on any positions. But anything in particular you're watching with the slate of earnings this week?
Yeah, that's first and foremost, Mike, a great reminder. For example, Palantir announces after the close today, like hours from now.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know that if you own it or are contemplating,
Right.
trading it, not only what day, but is it before the open or after the close? Mike, I'll just say in general, you know, we've seen some fallout from the earnings. I mean, Meta gapped down,
Right.
taking a break here. I mean, a lot of these stocks are priced for perfection. And so again, Palantir, I'll just say what really pops this week after the close today, Palantir. Tomorrow, AMD
Right.
after the close. And you want to talk about a stock that's covered a ton of ground. Here it comes up into earnings. Again, this is a big deal. Look at
Mm-hmm.
this. Look at this. Probably had the best run in under a year's run that it's had. I mean, I don't want to go all research that, but since April, where's this? This stock's been at 70. And anyway, there's just been the AI build out and everything real. Don't get me wrong, but these earnings announcements, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these stocks decide to take a break. So anyway, Palantir and AMD really big this week.
Right.
A Qualcomm after the close on Wednesday. I'm watching Robinhood after the close on Wednesday. App,
Oh yeah.
APT, ARM Holdings Wednesday after the close. And there's some other ones too. Maybe we can circle back around
Yeah.
that I'm really watching this week, Mike.
No, and I think it's important. There's been a lot of talk these last 3 or 4 weeks, especially Preston. I know you've seen it. Kind of the talk of, is there an AI bubble forming?
Mhm.
Right. So I think that's, you see it on headlines over and over and over again. You see big fund managers talking about it here and there, saying, hey, starting to get a little worried about this. When there's these companies reporting earnings, right? Palantir, AI software, right? AMD,
Mhm.
of course, chips, Qualcomm. Um, do you think, Preston, any announcement, any earnings that might show a little crack in that AI spending, AI universe, AI buzz, AI growth? Do you think that could be, with that heightened sense of, are we in this bubble? Are we in this bubble? Do you think that could react a little more negatively than what we might normally see if this was like last quarter or the quarter before that, for example?
It's a really good question, Mike. I mean, I think we're kind of looking toppy. I mean, here NVIDIA, it just broke out to new 52-week highs at the end of
Mm-hmm.
last week, and then we start the this week with big news of OpenAI and Amazon doing this
Right.
AWS deal and NVIDIA using. It looks even more toppy. Just with a company just recently getting the $5 trillion label for the first time in world history, and
Right.
then it probably went up another 300 or 400 billion on top of that just today. I mean, these are just staggering numbers. So I guess all to say that we're probably due anytime for a nice, healthy. I don't think a correction just yet, but definitely some just some a softer pullback.
Right.
And if that happens in conjunction with an AMD and it's not just picture perfect, I mean, because right now it's just build it where it's not only got to announce amazing earnings and then guidance, but then better guidance. And I mean, where does this go? I mean, these are due for some profit taking,
Right.
and it probably happens more if the market itself is in that mode.
Yeah, definitely.
But these weeks are important. That's why it's fun to tune in and and observe this.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on that point of we're feeling maybe a little top heavy, overextended. Maybe we could throw up a chart of the S&P 500 because we've really just marched higher, right? We had that little panic day on October 10th where we had that big sell-off drop, and then we've just kind of marched right back up. And for the most part, with the exception of of Thursday last week, right? So Wednesday was the big FOMC announcement, right? They cut interest rates again by 0.25%. That's what was expected. But then after the announcement, there's always a press conference. And Jerome Powell was at the microphone, he was at the podium, and a question came in about their last meeting of the year in December. They meet every 6 weeks, the FOMC. And he made a comment that really rattled the markets because I think the futures had priced in for this December meeting. It was like a 90% likelihood that we were going to see another 0.25% interest rate cut. And usually when Powell's, giving these press conferences, they're really careful. It's just kind of boring, nothing to see here language. But he made a comment that just sent the market kind of in this little sell-off that carried into Thursday. And what he said was, hey, a cut in December is not a sure thing. He said, far from it. It was something along those lines, which is pretty bold, pretty outspoken language for one of these press conferences. And so what went from being kind of a 90% likelihood, almost a done deal that the market was pricing in another interest rate cut in December, it really turned that on its head. And so we saw a little bit of that uncertainty hit on Wednesday. Now that press conference was taking place with about an hour and 15 minutes left in the trading day, but that carried over into a little bit of selling on Thursday. But outside of that, the market has just been resilient. It's just been ticking higher, ticking higher, ticking higher. So Preston, is that when you're saying it's feeling a little top heavy? We've obviously covered a lot of ground in the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks or so. And a pullback's just really a healthy, natural, normal thing for the market. So maybe you could just, chime in on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, if you were talking specifically about NVIDIA, I mean, if we were talking in a doorway or as having a beer with someone, and I just got to have some NVIDIA, I would just say, though, don't be in a hurry. Maybe not right this second. I mean, I think we'll be able to pick some spots. Not that it's going to come back down to earth and go back down to where it was years ago. No, but maybe just not right now. It's just there would be a chase, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's covered 30
that being
points in about a week and a half, right? It's gone from 175-ish to here we are trading at 210 today on NVIDIA. So yeah, we've covered a lot of ground. It's a great time if you're in positions, right? Our money press is powerful. It takes advantage of time decay. If a stock goes up or sideways, we're seeing a nice profit. And when we see, points where stocks might be stretched, the market's stretched, it's a great time because another piece of that money press is a protective put. It's our insurance, our coverage if the stock drops. And this is a great time if we're at these stretch levels to look to tighten up that protective side, because we're at a stretched level. It's great. It's a great time, but then also the pricing of that insurance, the put side that we're buying, is also a little cheaper. So if you're trading the money press actively, if you have put protection on stock positions, if your positions are stretched, go look at tightening up the puts. It's usually a good time at levels like these to start doing that. Maybe you already did it last week, but definitely something to go check out. So awesome. So Preston, we got earnings, we got the market a little stretched. Any trades that you're looking at in particular? Anything that you kind of have your eye on? And just a little bit of to color up the backdrop. When we're in the middle of earnings season, we're a little less likely to start a new position, right? We don't want to start something right before earnings.
Right.
But then on the flip side of that, earnings can give us some really fun setups, right? If there's a strong reaction to earnings, maybe it's breaking out of a channel, maybe they increase some guidance into the next quarter that wasn't really expected, and the stock gets a lot of new attention. So maybe color up a little bit, Preston, where your head's at as far as anything you're looking at, any new positions.
Oh, that's a great question.
Where are you at on that front?
If we pull up a chart of FANG, this is FANG. They announced earnings after the close today. And when you were just saying a stock that's like channeling, this is like my favorite energy stock, just with the combination of what they do. Diamondback Energy is what it is. FANG, get it, with the snake. But they have earnings after the close, and they energy's more and more and more critical, powering, the whole data center. They need power from somewhere, et cetera, et cetera. So if this one can, break up and out of this, of what they've been in, I think that could be very compelling. This has weekly options. I'm also excited about, after the close today, Hims and Hers. The ticker symbol is HIMS, HIMS. And just to see if they can, there looks like they're a little support right here. But this is a kind of an early stage growth stock, very actively traded weekly options. So again, I would not do anything before these announcements. Like you said, Mike, these announcements, if they come after, what I'd be looking for specifically with any stock, but since we have HIMS up here, I would be looking for how the crowd reacts to what is announced. It's going to be announced after the close today. So I would look at Tuesday morning in that first hour. I'm looking for what we call our surprise factor setup.
Right.
And the stock would have to be trading higher. And I'd want to see an entire average day's volume already happening in the first 60 to 90 minutes of tomorrow's trading. And if I get that, it's a dynamite entrance for multiple different strategies. So that's how I look at things like this, going over earnings. Can I just mention a couple more that are announcing this week?
Sure.
Amgen after the close Tuesday. ANET after the close Tuesday. Man, this one's a monster. And I think one of the ones that I'm watching the most, well, I love Hood after the close Wednesday, but Qualcomm, Mike.
Right.
Here's a stock. We already looked at AMD. I think we flashed it up on the screen earlier, but AMD's covered so much ground. Well, here's Qualcomm with this huge announcement last week, and that would be that green volume bar that looks like a redwood tree compared to like shrubs. And the pullback that this one's had, and it comes up on earnings this Wednesday after the close. I'm probably more riveted on how this company reacts to earnings this week than all the others, because of what these new chips that they announced last week and how the market received those. And we told
Right.
people, don't chase it. It's most likely going to pull back. This is looking textbook so far, Mike. And
Right.
what they could not only announce for earnings, but guidance going forward with these new chips.
Mm.
Sign me up. I mean, again, let's see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. One more I'd add to that list is Shopify, one that I've been in for a
Yes.
while. SHOP, but they huge player in e-commerce. A lot of these companies that just sell online, their platforms ride on that Shopify platform network.
They get a
So
piece of
that's
it.
that's
Yep,
a big one too. That can be a little bit of a barometer on consumer spending and how all that's plugging along out there. So
for
cool.
sure.
That's
And
great
Mike, I'll
stuff.
just comment, like this week, Pfizer announces, McDonald's, MetLife, Aflac. I mean, normally
Huge.
companies, I mean, these are gigantic, ginormous leaders. Why don't we even mention them anymore? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, really good point. So yeah, big earnings week. On the economic front, economic announcements,
Mhm.
economic calendar, we're still in that weird phase with the government shutdown. So the first Friday of every month is supposed to be the non-farm payrolls, the employment report, right, where we get a feel for how many jobs were created, um, the unemployment percentage. And as of right now, with the government shutdown, that won't be coming out on Friday unless something changes. And even if they get something figured out by Wednesday or Thursday, I don't know if they have enough time to even get that published and out. So that one is typically a bigger, more watched, more impactful announcement on Friday. But there are a few things to keep an eye on. So at this FOMC meeting that we talked about, happened Wednesday of last week, I think there's 19 different kind of Fed governors around the table, and they're all sharing insights. They're from different parts of the country. And there's just a bunch of these Fed vice chair, Fed governors speaking this week. And I think that's going to be pretty closely watched now that they kind of sprinkled this uncertainty about what's going to happen in December's meeting. But today, there's the San Francisco Fed president speaking, the Fed governor. Lisa Cook is speaking today. Those are during market hours. Tomorrow, there's the Fed vice chair. For supervision. I don't know any of these names, but they're all tied into that FOMC world. And then there's more on Thursday and Friday as well. So when we have a big earnings week, we have some of these different Fed governors, Fed chair, Fed vice chairs speaking. I think the market will be watching that pretty closely. So, something when we're at these extended levels, sometimes the market's just waiting for a reason to take some profits. And when there's a lineup like that this week, there might be something that hits that's okay. There we go. There's a crack in the AI spending or an AI growth or about the December FOMC meeting. Something could spark where we finally see some of that profit taking or selling, but it also could go the other way, right? We could see a little more gas on this bullish trend fire here.
That's true. I don't know why my mind went here, Mike, but like when the internet .com thing was going, there were so many fly by night companies and fraud that was exposed
Right.
that's a part of any gargantuan movement like that. But it didn't take the internet away,
Right.
right? The internet's legit in here. Um, and then as crypto has emerged, there's been a lot of fraud there, but that's not taking away the legitimacy of cryptocurrency. That just
Definitely.
seems to be a feature of a big movement that's real, not a quirk. So all to say, here we have this AI. I don't know where there's got to be some fraud happening somewhere. All to say to scare some people out, like I knew it. That AI stuff, oh, it's too good to be true. You know, where's that been? I mean, we need a good couple of fraud scares and some bankruptcies to have it be controversial, but so far it's just been so one way.
Totally.
Anyway, I don't know why my mind went there, but that has been true of any large scale thing. Part and parcel is, you know, the fraud element and ripping people off and I told you so. The internet is it's overhyped, but the internet's real, crypto's real, and so's AI. I bet we'll have a fraud scare. I don't know. Who
No,
knows?
good thought there. It also took me back, Preston, to one of our conversations this morning as we were first just catching up after the weekend, and you kind of mentioned the FinTech stocks. So along the idea of crypto growth, stable coin, what's
Yeah.
the future of digital currency, digital payments, online transactions, money changing hands. Um, maybe share some of your insights to wrap this one up about that FinTech sector.
But I guess I'll say, Mike, that's just some things are baffling. I mean, we see that uptrending S&P 500 line. You just think, oh my gosh, all stocks are on board. No, there's sectors. I think of one right now, the insurance sector. If you look at Progressive, I mean, flow's not in the flow, flows out of flow, flows down. And maybe unexplainably lower. And you mentioned Shop, Mike, how hot that is. So shopping's fine, the platform's fine, but paying. I mean, if you look at Toast or Shift4 Payments, PAYX, Paycheck, anything to do with FinTech, you would think they would just be growing right along with this, but these stocks are out of favor. Do I know why? I think we could conjecture, which is fun to come in the office together and just say, hey, there's been a lot of stable coin, crypto related IPOs this year. I mean, is there a fear that, hey, this is the way we're going to be paying each other in the future? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think that's something to keep an eye on, right? And outside of that, I think we covered some good ground today. I think we hopefully colored up some things to look for this week. Like always, that's the goal. Want to share some insights, hopefully help everyone listening in, give them a little more confidence, clarity as they attack the trading week. And to wrap it up, we had a really fun note come in from Kevin C. Again, we like to share some of these stories from our Traders Edge network clients. We love hearing their insights, how they're, some people are brand new to options trading and they're coming in and learning whole new language, some new strategies. And then we have people that have been stockbrokers for 30 years coming in and learning to trade options. But Kevin shared, he said, after reading the Money Press Method book, I was excited to learn more. He joined our SAMS earlier this year. SAMS is Small Account Mastery Series.
He jumped right into the fire,
which is amazing. Preston, you open a brand new $10,000 account. You trade it for 10 weeks over some webinars with people that join us in that. We just have a ton of fun. It's a total fan favorite. But in that SAM's window, about 2.5, 3 months, he grew the account from 10,000 to 18,000. He then joined our Sleepover Bandit training camp. Again, another kind of webinar series. We teach our Sleepover Bandit trading strategy. Grew the account to over 21,000. He's now a WoW insider and gives a big shout out to you, Preston. Says thanks to you, me, the Traders Edge team. So, Kevin, thanks for sharing that. Love that you're diving in. You're putting everything to work and you're seeing the results from the hard work. So thanks for sharing that. Big shout out to Kevin C.
Big shout out, Kevin. Thank you so much for sharing that. When we encourage you listening, if just what your story is, what your journey's been, we love it when you share it with us. We'll always keep your info. We're not going to expose your full government, but we love shouting you out. So yeah, just to encourage you to send anything in that you've experienced that you want to share.
For sure. Yeah, well, good stuff, P. Thanks as always. Thanks for your insights. We'll sign this one off, and we will catch everybody next week on our FogCutter Live. Thanks again, Preston.
All right, you bet. Take care.